Amber, I am so excited.
Oh, do tell. Why is
Well,
that?
I've been so confused about English pronunciation for so long, right? But I get the feeling that in this video, we're going to solve a lot of people's problems. Do you agree?
We most certainly are. We have the solution for you if you've been feeling a little bit confused about English pronunciation.
So what are we going to do?
Well, we're going to look at the different ingredients of pronunciation.
Fantastic.
We're going to look at sounds,
Mm-hmm.
joining sounds together to make clusters.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look at fluency, intonation, word stress, and rhythm.
Good stuff.
There are 5 parts to today's lesson. We're going to take you through each one by one. Let's start with sounds.
So, Amber, if I look at a piece of English writing, like text on a piece of paper, now the relationship between what is written and how we actually say it is really quite different, right?
It's profoundly different because English is not a phonetic language, which means that exactly as you said, the way we write it is very different from how we say it.
That's frustrating.
Yep. But worry not, we're here to tell you how to unpack and find out the difference.
Okay, take a look at this weird word here. What do you think this word actually says?
Well, if I apply the most common rules, I'm going to say goatee.
Goatee? No, it's not goatee at all. In fact, let's take a closer look. We could have f as in cough, right? So the GH actually says a f sound. What? English spelling and pronunciation is crazy. We can have I as in women, and that's an O, so that's weird. And we have sh as in nation, nation. So this actually means fish.
Cool. All right, so we can see that English spelling can be really, really different from how we say it. And it all comes down to the alphabet.
Right.
So we've got, well, how many letters are there in the alphabet, Jay?
Oh God, I think it's 24?
2 more.
26, I knew that.
Magic. Yeah, so from A to Z, the alphabet that we learn to write with. All of us learn this. But what is often not taught is the sound alphabet. So we've got 26 written letters. We've got 5 vowels, A, E,
I, O, and U. Only 5, that's good to know.
But, well, I'm sorry to break the bad news. We've got a whole lot more. English, in fact, has 20 spoken vowels.
But why do they tell us in writing that there are only 5 vowels?
It's a lie. But the good news is that with consonants, there's less of a big difference.
Okay.
So in the written alphabet, we've got 21 consonants. In the spoken or speech alphabet, we've got 24. So just 3 more.
So there's more sounds than there are letters.
Precisely, and that's the key point to take away from this.
Okay, so what are we looking at here, Amber?
Well, this is going to be your best friend in terms of pronunciation. So we call this the phonemic chart. And what you can see here is some words and then also some symbols as well.
Yep.
Now, some of these symbols you might recognize. They might look a little bit like the alphabet. Others look like a completely foreign language. Now, don't worry, you don't need to memorize any of these symbols, but it is just helpful to understand what they are.
Okay, right.
So these symbols are the different sound symbols that we use. So you can see in the top left corner, we've got the symbol E as in the word.
Sheep.
Beautiful. To the right, we've got the short vowel I as in
ship.
Lovely. And then we continue down. Let's look at the bottom right-hand corner. We've got this symbol. Now, this is the sound ow.
Ow, right.
Yeah, as in now, how, cow, and
Gotcha.
so on. So it's just helpful. These symbols will be in any dictionary that you use. So it's good to know what they represent and what they mean.
Okay, so with vowels, we have 3 different varieties, right?
Ah, indeed,
Yeah?
quite so.
So we've got short ones like I, we've got long ones like E, and then we've got those combined ones like ow.
Exactly.
Yeah?
These, just as you said, the combined vowels are 2 vowels that we join together. So for example, if we take I and they're 2 short vowels, I as in ship, as in teacher, and we kind of join them together, ear,
Ear.
here,
Here.
or ear.
Right, gotcha. So when you're thinking about the difference between a vowel and a consonant, it is as follows. As far as I'm concerned, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Of course.
But a vowel is a sound that you make where you do not use your teeth, your tongue, your lips, the roof of your mouth, the throat, or any other part of your anatomy or mouth. So e, e. It's just coming straight from, I don't know where it's coming from actually.
From our lungs.
From our lungs.
Up through out our mouth.
Wonderful. Now, a consonant, conversely, is where we make a sound. However, we are using our teeth, tongue, lips, mouth, something like that, right?
Exactly, exactly. Anything that blocks or interrupts the flow of air.
Right, so that's the difference between a vowel and a consonant. You can tell all your friends now.
So everybody, what we can see here, it's very similar to the vowel chart we saw a second ago. Here we have the consonant symbols in the phonemic chart, and under them we have the words they represent. So the wonderful news for consonants is that most of the time they're exactly the same, well, they look exactly the same.
Right.
So for example, the P sound looks the same as the letter P.
Good.
Same with D, looks like the letter D. But there are a couple of ones here that will look a bit different. Ch, for example, which is in the middle of the chart in the top row, and it's pair, J. Then in the second row, we've also got th and the, as in think and they, and these might be symbols that you haven't seen before. But once again, you don't need to learn these off by heart. It's just helpful to understand the sound they represent if you see them in a dictionary or want to check.
I think it's also good to know that it's finite. There are only a set number. There aren't more. It's not infinite, right? So you just have to learn the 44 sounds, the vowels and the consonants, and we'll get to consonant clusters coming up where there are actually a lot more, but it's good to know that it's finite.
Exactly.
Okay, everyone, if you want help with your pronunciation, don't forget to click on the description below and download the Ultimate English Pronunciation Guide. It's free. It includes everything that we're going to learn in this lesson, and it will help you enormously to sound clearer. Okay, so with these consonant sounds, like p and b, for example, or k and g, or t and d, there's really very little difference.
That's exactly right. And this is actually some more good news when it comes to pronunciation. 16 of the sounds turn into 8 pairs.
Yes.
So these sounds that you're talking about, p and b, for example, or t and d, everything in my mouth is doing the same thing. It's staying the same. The only difference is what's happening in our throats.
Is this what's called voiced and unvoiced?
You're onto it. That's exactly right. So there are 2 types of consonant sounds in English, unvoiced and voiced. Now, unvoiced means that we are not vibrating our vocal cords, but voiced we are. So a little tip on how to tell the difference: if we take p and b, take your hand, put it over your throat, and say these 2 sounds.
P, b.
Now, with this first sound, you shouldn't really feel anything under your fingertips. But with the second, you should feel some vibration.
Okay, so let's put it into a word. So if I say pig versus big, pig, big, pig, big. So it feels like pig is at the front of my mouth and it feels like big is at the almost in my throat.
Exactly, because that's the key difference between the 2 sounds. We're turning on our voice. Sometimes it's helpful to think of your voice like a light switch. You turn it on or you turn it off. Now, this can take a little bit of practice if in your first language you don't commonly do this with unvoiced and voiced pairs, but with a bit of practice and knowing this tip about using your hand to check if your vocal cords are vibrating, you'll be a natural in no time.
Let's do it. Let's look at some examples.
So let's go through the phonemic chart and we're going to show you the different pairs. So There are 8 pairs, so this means you only need to learn 8 mouth positions rather than 16.
Great.
So the first 2, p and b. All right, so what we can see here on screen is a diagram of the mouth and what the lips are doing for the pair sounds of p and b. So, Jay, can you do the honors? Can you read through the words with p in them?
I can. I can say pie, apple, shepherd, and pepper.
Magic. Now, what can you see that's different about the spelling of the sound p?
Well, okay, so I can see P for put. That's cool. That's what they teach me in primary school.
There we
Thanks,
go.
teacher. However, I see shepherd has a PH sound, PH spelling, but a put sound.
Exactly. So sometimes the way it's spelt, you won't say all of the sounds that you see. So in this case, the sound p can be represented by the letters P and H, but the H is silent.
I can also see double P there as well.
Exactly. That's another example. So you don't say apple or pep, purr. It's just the one sound
Pepper.
there. Pepper. Exactly.
Got it. What about the b, the voiced sound here?
So now we want to turn on our throats and we're going to say bee, rabbit, raspberry, and Bhutan. So again, we've got some tricky silent letters. The p in raspberry is silent. There's no p sound. So you don't say raspberry.
Right.
It's just raspberry.
Okay, got it. Okay, so that's voice. Bee, rabbit, raspberry, and Bhutan. Cool.
So we've looked at p and b in a little bit of detail. Just so you can help remember the different pairs, let's go through them now on screen. So we've got t and d.
Oh, can you stop here? This is a really interesting one because we have lots of Indian students, and it seems to me that if you are a speaker of an Indian language like Telugu or Kannada or Malayalam or Hindi, there seems to be a difficulty with the t sound, and that the d sound seems to be very common.
Exactly. And this is because for many Indian languages, we have a similar sound to the English t and d, but we call it a retroflex sound, which means that the top of the tongue is curled back over like ta, ta, or ta, like that. Whereas in English, we don't curl the tongue, we just want it tapping the top of the roof of the mouth.
It's so weird.
Yeah, and like tiny little differences make a huge impact with pronunciation.
That sounds like a real Indian sound when say d, 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 doesn't it?
Exactly.
But in English, we have a lot of t, t, t sounds.
That's very true. But I think the comforting thing is that your tongue can be trained to learn any sound in any language. You take a baby, you put it in a country, and it will grow up learning to say those sounds.
Nice.
You took that same baby, put it in a different country.
What if the baby's 35 years old?
You can still learn. It might take a little bit longer, a little
Gotcha.
bit of practice, but it is possible.
Cool.
So let's take a look at the other pairs. We've got ch and j, k and g, f, v, th, th, s, z, and finally sh, zh.
I have to say, some of those sounds are very similar, like th and the. They're almost identical, but for me, as an English native speaker, right, I can hear a big difference if somebody makes a mistake or doesn't say it clearly.
Most definitely.
Right?
So to a learner of English or a student of English, it can feel like the difference is tiny.
Yeah.
But you know, when you grow up speaking English and learning English, your ear becomes attuned to these differences and they sound really big to us.
I think a good analogy would be like somebody who plays guitar and somebody who's playing in tune, right? And you're like,
Yes.
wow, that sounds perfect, that's amazing, versus somebody who plays it and you're like, oh, it's not quite right. There's something a little bit wrong there.
You hear that note out of tune and you notice it instantly.
Nice.
Doesn't mean the music can't still be enjoyable if you
Yes.
make a little pronunciation mistake here and there. But, you know, for the purpose of practice, it's good to fine tune and try and be as accurate as possible.
Yeah. Especially if you're taking an English test.
Tests, yes.
Yeah.
Very important for tests.
Yeah. Okay, so let's play a little game. These are the unvoiced sounds, which are p, s, t, f, and k. And we have voiced sounds here, z, v, b, g, and d. What I want you to do is to match the unvoiced sound with the voiced sound to make a little pair. You have 10 seconds. All right, let's go through the answers now. So the pairs are p and b, s and z, t and d, f and v, k and g. Tiny little differences, but they make a big difference in the end.
Definitely. Jay, what's wrong?
Well, I speak, just imagine this, I speak Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, and this is very confusing because there's so many sounds and I don't know which sounds I have in my first language versus what sounds are in English. What am I to do?
Well, worry not, we've done the hard work for you.
Yes.
So part of our pronunciation course involves creating a plan of which sounds will be especially helpful for you to practice as a learner of the English sounds. So let's take that example. You speak Portuguese.
Yes.
Let me show you what your plan would look like.
Cool.
Now, for this example, we're going to focus specifically on Brazilian Portuguese, as the Portuguese spoken in Portugal has slightly different rules.
Right, but if you're watching this at home and you speak another language, just hold on because what we're going to talk about is relevant for you as well, even though you may not speak Brazilian Portuguese, but keep watching.
Okay, so if we compare English with Portuguese, you'll notice that we're looking at the vowels and the consonants. So English on the left has actually got more vowels and more consonants. So if you're a speaker of Brazilian Portuguese, this means you're going to need to learn some new sounds.
Right, entirely new sounds. This means that they're going to have to learn a new way to move their mouth and to make a sound.
Well, maybe not quite like that, but you're on the right track.
Right.
So let's take a look at the phonemic chart again, but designed for Portuguese and English. So these vowels that you see here, these are the same in Brazilian Portuguese. So the good news is you don't need to learn them. You already know them. And no matter what first language you speak, there will be some overlapping sounds.
Right, okay.
So for example, in the bottom right-hand corner, we've got the Portuguese word mau, which means bad, but that's exactly the same vowel sound, ow, as in now in English.
Identical sounds.
Identical sounds, yes.
Cool, that's easy.
Now, we're going to look at sounds that are not identical, but they're similar.
Okay.
So this means your tongue is already doing almost the right thing. It just needs a few tiny little changes.
And do you think this is the reason why some people have accents?
Yes, exactly. Because you apply the pronunciation rules from your first language to your second, third, or fourth languages.
Okay.
That's why we hear accents.
Interesting. Now, are accents a big problem? Let me just talk about tests for a minute here. Now, accents are not an issue. You are allowed to have your Brazilian Portuguese accent or your Hindi accent or whatever accent you have. Everybody's got an accent, okay? The problem is when your accent is thick, and it actually, the sound you're making then is sort of incorrect. You might be making a v-w mistake or a t-d mistake.
Exactly.
Yeah?
So I think by no means do we want to discourage anybody from embracing and celebrating your accent. It's a sign of where you come from and your journey to learning English.
Yes.
But being able to pronounce the correct sounds is really important to ensure that your language is clear and easy to understand.
Nice. Oh my God, so what are these red ones? This doesn't look good, Amber.
Well, the good news is there are only 4 of these red ones, but you're right. These vowels you're going to have to learn because Portuguese doesn't have these 4.
Okay.
But over on E2 School, with our pronunciation course, we have a lesson for each of these sounds and lots of practice activities.
So how do I get to this E2 School website to take the pronunciation course, which must be amazing?
Oh, well, it's quite simple. You just head on over to www.e2school.com and sign up for free.
Perfect.
What you can see here is the table of consonants that are the same in Portuguese.
Right.
And then you can see here the similar ones.
Okay.
And finally, 4 that you will need to learn and practice.
So this means Portuguese speakers will struggle to say horse as in as in horse, right?
Exactly, exactly. And this doesn't necessarily mean that the sound does not exist in Portuguese. It just means that it's very different. For example, the English r sound, as in read, is very different from the Portuguese. Now, I am not as good as doing this, yes, as you are. The rolled or trilled R.
Oh, very interesting. Now, let's say I speak Hindi, right? So the same thing will apply here, that some sounds will be exactly the same, some sounds will be similar, and some sounds I just won't have. And conversely, let's say I'm going to learn Hindi from English, the same thing will happen. If I go from English to Hindi, in Hindi there'll be the same sounds, there'll be similar sounds, and then I'm going to have to learn Hindi sounds that I just do not have, correct?
Exactly, that's it. But the good news is that on Speaking Lab, we design a study plan for you. So we will give you a roadmap to the sounds that are the same, similar, and different.
Great, so I don't have to waste time studying sounds that I already know. And the other thing that we're going to do, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should click the subscribe button, because we're going to release videos on all different first languages. Cool, hey?
Very exciting.
Okay, so what are some other ways to practice all of these different sounds in English?
Well, there are actually some really fun ways to do it, because learning pronunciation can be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So one of the best ways is actually through minimal pairs. If you think about learning pronunciation like going to the gym, this is your weightlifting activity.
I clearly go to the gym.
Well, your tongue will be going to the gym by the end of this activity. So a minimal pair is when just one sound changes between a pair of words.
Okay.
So what we have here is bus and buzz. So the only difference is s or z. We've got 2 more examples here, pence and pens. So once again, this tiny difference can make a huge difference in terms of meaning.
Pence and pens. I tell you what, that's a really important one too, because in English we have these things called plural nouns, right?
Yes.
So we have apple and apples. Actually, do we say s or do we say z? Apples.
Depends on the word.
Apples.
Yeah, that's the voiced one there.
Oh, very interesting.
But right, and you know, if you are not saying this sound loud enough, it could sound like the singular noun. So good pronunciation will improve your grammar as well.
Whoa, okay, hang on, let me get this right. So let's say I'm taking an English test and my pronunciation isn't very good. It could affect my grammar score.
Indeed, because the examiner may hear you say a word, and if you're not pronouncing all the different aspects of the word, it sounds like you're not saying them.
Crazy. Let's keep going.
All right, and then we've got one more minimal pair. We've got ice and eyes. So this is a great way to practice to really improve your accuracy. Now, another really fun way to practice is, what's this called, Jay?
Tongue twisters. I agree.
Indeed.
These are fun.
Love these.
Let's,
You have a
all
go
right,
at this one.
let me have a crack at this one. She sells seashells on the seashore.
Faster.
She sells seashells on the seashore.
You can do better than that.
She sells seashells on the seashore.
It's a marathon, right?
Yes.
But this is a great way, once you've been slowly and accurately practicing these sounds, to really ramp up and increase the speed, because that's going to train you to make these sounds under pressure, like in a conversation.
Nice.
Or like in an exam situation.
Nice. And the other thing about pronunciation, which we should mention, is you mentioned going to the gym before. Pronunciation is muscular, isn't it?
Indeed, it builds.
Yeah.
You know, the work builds on top of each other. You know, it can be painful at times, but it is worth it.
Yeah. So when you learn grammar, you have to really, it's a cognitive, mental, psychological thing, because you're thinking about some abstract conceptual rule. But with pronunciation, you're actually moving tongues and cheeks and...
Literally a muscle. You are building and training your tongue, which is a muscle.
So these tongue twisters are good practice.
Definitely. I'm going to show you my favorite one
Oh,
next.
wow. Okay, you better do this one.
Now, I learnt this tongue twister when I was quite young. And I tell you what, everybody has a favourite tongue twister that they learn how to do. I'm not good at all tongue twisters,
Right.
but if I say so myself, I'm quite good at this one.
Okay, let's try.
I'll do it slowly. First of all, so you can hear the words. So it's Betty bought a bit of butter. So we're practicing the B sound.
Yep.
Okay, are you ready?
Go.
Betty bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter, so Betty bought another bit of butter and mixed it with a bit of butter to make a bit of butter.
Let me try. Betty bought a bit of butter, but the bit of butter Betty bought was bitter, so Betty bought another bit of butter and mixed it with the bit of butter to make a better bit of butter.
Bravo.
Holy moly. Okay, so we just looked at the sounds of English and we found out that there are 44 sounds, and we found out that some of these sounds will be in your first language and they'll be exactly the same. Some will be slightly different and some you're not going to have at all.
True.
What else did we find out about these sounds?
Well, we looked at the relationship between spelling and
yes.
how the word sounds, so the difference there, knowing which sounds represent which letters.
And how you cannot trust English spelling because the relationship between the spelling and the sounds is crazy.
Although, you know, there's a solution to this.
Oh,
We have a spelling course on E2 School.
we do too.
So this will be your new best friend in terms of spelling.
Isn't that clever? What else did we learn? We learned about voiced and unvoiced.
That's exactly right. So the two types of consonants, we turn our voice off for unvoiced, P, and we turn it on for voiced, B. And we learnt the hand trick. So remember, unvoiced, no vibration. Voiced, you will feel your throat move under your fingers.
Sweet. And we also learned that of the 44 sounds, we have vowels. And of the vowels, we have short, long, and combined. And we also have consonants, which are sounds that you make that use a piece of your mouth.
Exactly, where it blocks or changes the flow of air in some way.
All right, let's move on from sounds and move up to something not necessarily trickier, but a little bit higher.
Exactly this. So first of all, we looked at the pieces of the puzzle.
Right.
Now we're going to start putting them together.
Ooh, how exciting.
So next, let's look at consonant clusters. What's wrong, Jay?
What's a consonant cluster?
Now, I know that the name sounds a little bit scary, but it's actually really simple. It just means 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 consonants that are next to each other. So no vowels in between them.
Okay. All right, this sounds cool. Let's take a look.
They're a lot of fun. So consonant clusters are divided into 2 groups. You have initial clusters, which come at the start of a word. So we can see here on the left, we've got black. So we've got the 2 consonants, B and L. Bl, bl,
Blur.
black.
Blur.
Yeah,
Blur is a consonant cluster.
that's precisely correct. And the trick with consonant clusters, you have to be very careful not to put a vowel in between them. So don't say b-la, black. You want to join them as close together as you can. Black.
Once upon a time, I lived in South Korea, and the Koreans loved to put a vowel between the consonants. They would say
Indeed.
black,
Indeed.
not black.
This is something that Japanese speakers of English will do too.
Okay. So we can also see here that there are initial consonant clusters. That means they come at the start of the word. And there's one there that has 3 consonants. S, p, r, ing. Spring.
Beautiful.
Spring.
My favorite season, exactly.
Oh, is it nice?
Now, when we look at initial clusters, there are no 4 consonant initial clusters in
thank
English.
God,
So,
honestly.
phew, that's a relief. However, there are for the final clusters. So let's go through them. With final clusters, let's look at the 2 consonant cluster one first. So remember, these come at the end of a syllable or word. Mint.
So we had nt,
Exactly. N,
nt,
t, nt,
nt.
nt. Precisely. Now let's amp up the difficulty a little bit. We've got bends.
Bends, nz,
Lovely. So we've got
nz.
3 there. N, d, z.
Crazy.
Bends. This is another example of the difference between the sound and the spelling, because the spelling is with the letter S, but remember we pronounce this with the Z voiced sound.
Gotcha.
All right, now you up for a real challenge?
Oh, honestly, I speak English as a first language and I find this word hard to pronounce. Ready?
Me too, me too.
Here
You
we
go
go.
first.
All right. Six.
It started off well. Yeah, so here we've got 4 consonants in a row. We've got K, S, Th, S again. 6. And to make this, when you've got your tongue in that S position, you've got to push it forward for the Th and then back again for the S. So S.
This is ballet for the tongue, isn't it?
It is. This is where the gracefulness of your movements needs to happen.
Sixth.
6.
Crazy. All right, I like these consonant clusters. These look fun. What else have we got?
Well, there are many consonant cluster groups. So we
Right.
group them by the common sound within them all.
Okay.
So here we're looking at the S cluster group for initial clusters at the start of a word. So let's go through them. I'll take you through the different examples. So S and K combine to make sk or scary. Sleep, smile, sneeze, sport, star, sweet. You do the rest?
Screen, split, spring, street, square.
Once again, here we've got another little difference between the sound and the spelling. So SQ is represented by SK in the phonetic alphabet.
Okay. All right, cool. So what I feel like is happening now, Amber, is we've gone from those initial single sounds like t and p and m and k, and now we're putting them together, and I feel like we're becoming more and more, what's the word? Clear. We're getting clearer, aren't we?
Precisely. It's like building the accuracy up. You know, you start with accuracy of the individual parts, and then you add them together. It's like maths. You add the pieces together, come up with the correct answer.
All right, I have a question for you. So there's 44 individual sounds. How many consonant clusters are there in English?
Well, the figure is 146. But these are divided into different groups. So we've got 5 initial consonant cluster groups and we've got 10 final consonant cluster groups.
Okay, and how can I practice these 146 consonant clusters? Where can I go to learn this?
Head on over to
e2school.com.
and you can sign up for the Speaking Lab Advanced course. This is where you will find our consonant clusters.
Fantastic. Here is a screenshot of the Speaking Lab Advanced course, which will take you through all of the consonant clusters in English and help you to say them perfectly. Cool, I like consonant clusters. They're fun. You're getting the s and the p together, or even the spr. Is there a spring?
Spring. You've got it.
There you
Yes.
go, or str. So they're kind of tricky and you probably need to practice them, right?
Definitely. Practice is the key to success when it comes to clusters because you can really have them in all sorts of different combinations. Plus, it's a great way to practice your knowledge of individual consonant sounds too.
Nice, nice, nice. And it's next level. But if we really want to go to the next level, we need to talk about fluency.
Indeed. Now, this is truly my favorite aspect of pronunciation because once you have learned these rules, these magic keys to pronunciation, you are going to see and hear these everywhere. In songs, on TV, on the radio. Trust me, you'll notice them all around you.
Okay, let's now talk about fluency.
All right. So, there are 5 ways to improve your fluency.
Okay.
And we're going to go through them one by one in this next section.
Wait. What is fluency? What does this mean?
Well, fluency is how we join sounds together when we speak.
Okay.
In fact, it's one of the key things to sounding natural when you talk.
Nice. This is important.
So, the first way, and one of the most common ways that we sound more fluent, is by linking sounds. We also add sounds, we delete sounds, we change them, and we combine them.
So we're talking here about combining words. So imagine this verbal word comes out and we say another word, and it's the connection between the two, right?
Precisely, that's exactly so. But there are slight differences in how we do it depending on what sounds you have in this word or that word.
All right, this sounds fun. Let's take a look.
Let's jump in. Okay, so we're going to start with linking sounds. Now, you may have heard of this rule before. When you have a word that ends in a consonant and the next word starts with a vowel sound, you link them. So, for example, let's look at these words here. We've got 3 words. Like, which ends in what consonant sound, Jay?
K.
Yes. Now the next word, starts with the schwa, so that's a vowel sound. And then its second letter is a consonant again, so n. And now our third word here starts with a vowel, I, as in ice. So we need to link them. Here's what it looks like. Like a nice.
Like an ice?
Like an ice.
What's like an ice?
Well, it'll help more if we put it in a question. Would you like an ice cream?
Okay, so let me get this right. We're not saying, would you like an ice cream? Because that would sound like a robot.
It does sound like a robot when you separate all the words out.
So a native English speaker, if they're offering you an ice cream, they wouldn't say, would you like an ice cream? They say, would you like an ice cream? And there's a rule there that you just mentioned, like an ice cream.
That's the rule. So you take that first consonant and you push it over to the vowel. So an ice becomes a nice, a nice.
Okay, ice cream, you scream, we scream for ice cream.
Yes. So here are some more examples using this first linking rule. So, my name is Dave. My name is Dave.
My name is Jay.
My name is Amber. Another example, we've got live in India, but we don't want to say those as 3 separate words. We want to link them. Live in India. Live in India. So it's almost like India starts with n, Nindia, live in India.
Wow.
And then final one is a question, when is it? When is it?
Right. Okay, so just quickly, this is probably why people find it so difficult to listen and understand native speakers, right? Because what we're doing is we're doing all this crazy stuff with the language. And again, the relationship between the written English and the spoken English is so different.
Exactly.
So you probably studied English for ages in high school and you know your vocabulary and your grammar, and you go to America or Australia and you think, what? I don't understand anybody. It's because we're applying all of these rules.
Exactly. And for us, the rules are automatic. We learn to do them from a young age, but you can learn to do them too. Although it does take a little bit of memory, that little bit of awareness and practice at the start to go,
That's it.
hey, I need to link here or I need to add a sound here.
Yeah.
But very soon, you'll start to be a natural. They'll feel like second nature.
Nice, I like that. Awareness and practice, that's the key. Keys.
Definitely, truly,
Keys.
Okay, so next we're going to look at how to add sounds. This is probably my favorite rule. It's also one of the most powerful fluency rules.
Cool.
So let's take a closer look. There are 4 sounds that we add. So let's look at the first sound. Here's the rule. When the first word ends in one of these 3 vowel sounds, oo, ow, o, and the next word starts with any vowel, doesn't matter, can be anything as long as it's a vowel, we add the sound w. W. So let me give you an example. Take this adjective, blue. It ends in oo, blue. And the next word is eyes. So I could say I have blue eyes, but to make it sound far more natural, I say blue eyes. You have blue eyes. I have blue eyes.
Gotcha. And that could be confusing again for listening because you're thinking, why are you talking about blue wise?
Right, because wise is a noun. Oh, my goodness. Wise is an adjective.
That it is.
In English. I am not very wise. You are extremely wise.
That's why it can be so confusing listening, because you think somebody's talking about being wise, but they're talking about blue eyes because of this little rule.
Exactly.
Whew, crazy stuff.
Let's look at some examples. So, my cat has blue eyes. Or we can look at these three here. So again, she has blue eyes. How are you? That's one of the most common questions we learn right at the beginning. How are you?
Okay, so, right, okay. So I have been taught since I was 5 years old to say, how are you? But that is completely unnatural.
Incorrect, yeah. The one lovely thing about this, though, is that often with this rule, the words have clues in them. If you take a look at the spelling, how ends with the letter W, even though when we say the word on its own, it's just how. But the W reminds us to insert w before another word. How are you?
Got it.
Same with the example over here. Throw it to me. Throw it to me.
Got it.
Another good one would be something like go away. When you join them, go away.
Got it. Go while way. Very
Exactly.
strange.
So that's rule number 1. Let's look at rule number 2 for adding sounds. So, when you have a word that ends in or, and the next word starts with a vowel, we add r. So let's look at this example. We have the consonant Asia, ends in the schwa, Asia. And the next word could be and. When we put them together in a sentence, we say Asia and Europe are continents. Asia and. Not Asia and Europe.
Right.
Asia and Europe.
Huh, there you go. Asia Rand.
That's it. Ready for rule number 3?
Please.
Jump on in. So, this time, if the first word ends in e, a, I, or oi, and the next word starts again with any vowel, this time we add the y sound, like in the word you. Here's an example. Word on the left says hi. I is the vowel, I. The next word starts with the vowel a, altitude. I could say high altitude, but it would sound far better for me to say high altitude.
So we add a y sound between them.
It's a soft
It just appears.
sound. Yeah, it's quite subtle, but it makes a huge difference.
Huh.
Yeah. So some more examples. I'm flying at a high altitude. And now let's look at examples for all of the vowel sounds that were listed. So E as in she is, she is happy. We've seen the high altitude one already, but in a sentence it would be, he's at a high altitude. Oi as in boy, a boy and a girl, boy and a girl. A as in today, today is the 20th. And then finally we've got the short vowel I as in taxi. The taxi is here. So it's a powerful rule and it's a very common rule because these vowels are frequently used.
Okay, I have a question. So it's hard for me to memorize these rules. So what should I do? Because I can't be thinking of these rules while I'm also saying a sentence in a conversation. What to do?
Well, my tip is to recognize which words this rules applies to, because these rules are quite common. For example, she, the subject pronoun she, and then the be verb is.
Right.
You're going to be using that combo of subject pronoun and verb all the time. So even though it does take that tiny bit of practice at the start to remember, okay, she is, when you learn that rule, you memorize it, and then you use it often, it's going to become automatic.
Nice.
And like you said earlier, awareness is the first step, and then practice. So start by listening to songs that have lyrics, you know, with she is, or a boy and, something like that.
And you almost need to forget the written English, right?
Yes, and just close your eyes and listen to the sounds.
Listen to what is actually said, not what you see as a written form, because that's, well, the relationship's not there.
Exactly, yeah. So, let's finish up with rule number 4.
Cool.
This one is when the first word ends in the z sound, And the next word starts with y. So this one's a little bit different. This time we add the j sound. Here's an example. Where's. Where's. And the second word, your. So separately, it's where's your. But here, we're adding this je. Where's your?
Oh.
Where's your?
Huh.
Where's your homework?
Where's your? It sounds French.
Does indeed, du jour. But indeed, in English, we've got this inclusion of this sound, and it will make a big difference if you use it.
Where's your homework?
Sounds so natural.
Ah, nice.
Okay, next we're looking at deleting sounds. So I do this quite often. Now, in English, we tend to delete these 3 sounds the most.
Right.
And the tip to remember is that we delete them when they are at the end of a word. Don't delete them when they're at the start for t and d, but with h, we do want to delete that at the start. So just a little difference there, but we'll look at some more examples.
Okay, so can I try these 3?
Yeah, go for it.
So it must be, if I say, where's your homework? And I say, well, it must be at home. It must be. It must be. So I don't say it must be, and I don't hit the t sound. I say, it must be at home, miss.
Exactly. I suppose a good point to mention is that you certainly can say these sounds if you want to.
Right.
This fluency rule is a bit more optional. Fluency rule number 1 for linking, fluency rule number 2 for adding sounds. It's really important that you do those 2 rules.
Right.
But this one, it can depend on your mood. It also depends on your accent. You know, for us as native speakers, I may do this less with a British accent than an Australian speaker might.
Got it. And also with social context, because if I'm hanging out with my friends versus speaking to the Queen, which I do all the time.
Naturally.
Yeah, so.
Hello.
What about this second one here? So you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me. It sounds a bit weird.
It does, you and me. Bit odd, hey. So you'll hear a lot of English speakers doing this often, dropping the d in and. We also have this with fish and chips instead of fish and chips. But
Gotcha.
we'll
Rock
look
and
at
roll.
that. Exactly, good one. Now the final one, I saw him. We could say I saw him, but a lot of native speakers will drop the h and just go, I saw him.
Right, yep, makes sense. That sounds natural to me.
It does. So let's look at a couple other examples for each sound. Have a go at this. If you want to pause the video, try these out yourself. So for t, we've got these ones. Have a go, Jay.
Ready? So it must be true. It must be true. I'll take the first one, not first one. And of course, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Exactly. And often with this, sometimes you'll almost make half a sound. Like you wouldn't say, I didn't do it like that.
Yeah.
You'll bring your tongue up halfway. Didn't do it.
Didn't do
it, like that instead of it. So have a practice, see what you enjoy doing, but this rule is optional for whatever you feel comfortable with.
And again, I think the key here is to just listen to what is actually said in English, not what is written, or probably not what you've been taught, dare I say, unless you study at E2 school.
Indeed. One other little tip is that when it comes to deleting sounds, as you mentioned earlier, when you're talking with friends in an informal context, that can be fine. But possibly in an exam, or if you're talking to the Queen, you might want to include these sounds more just for accuracy and precision.
Nice.
So that the examiner knows that you can do them.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the ones for d. So we've got you and me, I used to have a car, fish and chips. And so once again, you know, how we use sounds in English, this is so common that you will see signs spelled like this with just the n, fish and n, like that, fish and chips.
Nice.
Okay, here are the examples for her. I saw him, I shouldn't have, I haven't seen her. You'll notice that I've also put the t in a grey colour here to show you that you could or choose not to include it. So with it included, I shouldn't have, I haven't seen her, but then I can also delete it. I shouldn't have, I haven't seen her, like that.
Got it.
Ready to look at some magic?
All right, I like magic. Let's do it.
Well, I'm not going to pull a rabbit out of a hat, but I am going to change some sounds for you.
Cool.
So here is our first rule. When the first word ends in the T sound and the next word starts with a Y sound, for example, what and you, we change it to what you. What you.
What you gonna do?
What you doing? This is a super common rule and one of the most helpful that you'll hear today. Here's an example. At a restaurant, have you decided what you want?
So she doesn't say, have you decided what you want? She says, have you decided what you want?
What you want.
What you want. Beastie Boys.
Yes, good one. All right, next rule. When the first word ends in D, the second again starts with Y, like did you. This time we change it to J, which we can see here in green. This is the J sound, like in the word jam. So combined it becomes did you. Did you. Did you know there's a sale on?
Right. Okay, let's hit this again. So he doesn't say did you, because that would be, honestly, it's just hard to say that. It's hard to say did and you as two separate things. They just naturally want to create magic there. Say did you.
Exactly. And the really cool thing is that these rules evolved from convenience. Because we were being lazy. We didn't want to say did you. So the rule came into being because we wanted something easier to say.
Nice.
Did you?
Nothing wrong with being lazy.
Exactly.
At times.
At times. Okay, the next changing rule, when the first word ends in the S sound, and once again, the second word starts with a Y sound, for example, pass and your, we need to change it to a sh sound. So this sound, sh, this is the sound you make when you want somebody to be quiet.
Right.
Shh. It's kind of a universal sound. You've probably heard a teacher do this at some point in the past. So this is an easy sound to make. Partial. So if we look at this in a context, hey, check the scores. Did you pass your exam?
Partial? What's partial?
It pass and your, but joined together. Partial.
Nice. That sounds natural to me.
Me too. All right, well, we're on to the final fluency rule. How are you feeling? Not too much information?
Well, it is. There's a lot here, but it's all good. I just want to keep learning this stuff and just maintaining my awareness of it because I know that at some point I'll have to practice, but so be it. Let's keep going.
Exactly. And I find if you pause this video and you really practice and revise each rule, take in a little bit at a time, a little bit more knowledge every day, it will help feel more manageable.
Cool.
Okay, so here's the combination rule. This is a lovely, easy rule to remember. Very simple. So when a word ends in a consonant and the next word starts with the same consonant, the same sound, we combine them. So for example, I love drinking tea. So we could have hot and tea, but we don't want to say two T sounds. We want to make it into one. So hot tea.
Right.
Hot tea.
Nice. And this is definitely another convenience rule here. We're being a little bit lazy, aren't we?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
So we could say, here's some hot tea.
Hot tea, hot tea, hot tea.
Hot tea, yeah.
Love it.
Now here's the next combining rule. When you have a word ending in either T, D, the, or th, and the next word starts with any one of those same four sounds, for example, hot dog, what we do is we delete the first sound, so the sound that is at the end of the first word, and then we join them.
Perfect.
Hot dog.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs, yeah. So, for example, you might be at a barbecue, one hot dog for you.
Okay, but not a hot dog, because that would be weird.
And not a hot og either.
Gotcha.
So let's put all of these rules together that we've been learning. Now, we've got a text up here, and it's amazing to see this because you can see how frequently they're used and how all these rules help each other to make you sound more fluent. So I'm going to read through this text now for you. Listen carefully to where I'm using these different rules. They're color-coded, so check as you listen along. Doctors are giving new advice for people with coughs. They are advising people not to visit a doctor to get treatment. Instead, if you have a cough, what you need to do is drink or eat honey or get medicine from a pharmacy. Did you know that honey has antibacterial properties? The doctors say that in most cases, honey and over-the-counter medicines will work and people don't need antibiotics. They say antibiotics do little to make a cough go away. The doctors added that most of the time, a cough will improve on its own within 2 to 3 weeks, even if you take nothing. Self-care and rest are also important for healing.
Okay, oh my God, that's amazing. All right, so in that text there, what we're seeing is a written paragraph of text, and we're seeing actually how it transforms into spoken English and all of the
Indeed.
different fluency rules that are applied there, right?
Exactly, and they all work together to help anybody speaking sound more natural, more fluent, more like an English native speaker.
It's incredible. All right, so what are the fluency rules again? We've got linking,
Yes.
adding, deleting, changing, and combining.
Perfect.
Ha!
And let me show you a quick little review.
Cool.
So we'll go over it one more time.
Good.
Here are the 5 ways to improve your fluency with examples. You link words together, so an egg becomes an egg.
An egg?
An egg.
Fine.
You add extra sounds, so for example, true or false should be true or false.
Got it.
True or false. Number 3, we often delete sounds, used to, for example. We create new sounds, so don't you becomes don't you. Pussycat Doll song. And then number 5, you can combine the same sounds. So for example, social life ends with l, starts with l, becomes social life.
I don't know what to say. Honestly, it's incredible.
It is magic. This
Really
is
is.
pronunciation
Yeah,
magic.
that's it. That's what it's all about.
Indeed.
Whoa, all right. Fluency is really cool. I like that a lot. They are seriously some magical rules that'll help you sound much more natural. Now, don't forget, in the description below, we have the downloadable free ultimate guide to pronunciation. So make sure you get that. Now, Amber, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you like sounds, consonant clusters, or fluency the best?
First of all, that's an impossible question. I love them all. But do you know what you just did, Jay?
What did I do?
You used some intonation beautifully
Did I?
to ask me actually a list question.
Oh, intonation. Is this another magical rule?
Indeed. Ready to find out?
Let's do it.
Let's go for it. Okay, so in this section, you're going to learn what intonation is. So, Jay, tell me, do you play a musical instrument?
I play the didgeridoo, which probably doesn't count here.
No, it most certainly
Does
does. It goes up and down in its pitches.
Nice, yep.
So if you play a musical instrument, you'll recognize this information on screen. But even if you don't play one, you will have listened to music. And you'll know that music has different pitches from low to high. So we've got here, do, re, mi, fa, so, goes from low, up, 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 like that. And English is exactly the same. It has different pitches too.
Okay.
But we call this intonation.
Right.
So it's how we move our voice from going from a low pitch to a medium pitch to a high pitch and back down.
Right, cool.
So we use different patterns for different things in English. Questions have very specific patterns. So let's jump into those first.
Great.
Okay, so today we're going to begin with the 5 different types of question intonation. Now, mostly people say, oh, it's easy. When you ask a question, you make your voice go up. Well, that is true, but not all the time. So let's find out when to do it and when not to do that. So we're going to start with WH questions. So Jay, what are WH words?
Who, what, when, where, why, and for some reason, how.
I know, it's like the imposter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, when you have a question that starts with one of these WH words, we use this pattern. Now, notice where the blue dot is in the pattern, and then check the questions. You'll see part of the sentence or the question in blue. So that part corresponds with the dot. So it'll make sense when you hear it. I've completely forgotten. What's your name?
J.
And there we have the question. What's your name?
Ah.
So the N is the highest part of how I'm lifting my voice. What's your name? And then I bring it back down. What's the departure time?
What's the departure time?
Beautiful. When's dinner?
Right, I remember that. Mom, when's dinner?
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And then we've got, who is that?
Ah.
So sometimes you can make the difference subtle. Who is that? Or you can make it even more extreme. Who is that?
Got it.
So that is the pattern for WH questions. This is another type of question. So we call this type repetition or clarification questions. Basically, it's when you ask somebody to say something again or for a second time.
Right.
So I could be feeling really forgetful today. You've told me your name, but I missed it. So I'll say, what was your name again?
J.
Got it. Won't forget this time. So with this pattern, we start with our voice at a medium level, then we bring it down. What was? What was? What was your name again? What was that departure time? When did you say dinner was?
Nice.
Who
Sorry.
is that's all good. Who is that again? So this is the pattern.
Amazing.
All right, now this is the type that you'll probably know the pattern of because it's one of the most common question types. It's yes or no questions. So what is a yes or no question, Jay?
It's a question that in the answer requires a yes or no answer.
Exactly. So let me ask you a question. Are you hungry?
Yes.
Always. Am I correct?
Yes.
And did you get the bus today?
No.
So you can see that this pattern applies even if the question is short, am I correct? Or if it's a longer question, did you get the bus today? And you can see here with the green and the blue parts, that's where you raise your voice. So in the final 2 syllables.
Okay, wait. So this word hungry has 2 syllables, right?
Exactly. Hung and gree.
Okay, so it goes hung on the first syllable and then gree, so it goes up from the first to the second syllable.
Exactly. Hungry.
Hungry.
So if I ask you a question, but I don't use this intonation pattern, I say, Jay, are you hungry?
What?
Right. And you don't know that it's a question that I'm asking.
Yeah,
you.
it doesn't sound like a question.
No, because our brain hears the pitch as much as it hears the
correct?
words.
Are you hungry?
Am I correct? Did you get the bus today? I also sound really bored
It
too.
sounds boring. Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure you use this pattern for this question type. All right, so the next question type is either or questions. So an either or question is when you give someone 2 options. For example, you might be at a restaurant and the waiter says, do you want soup or salad? Would you like tea or coffee? Your teacher might say, do you agree or disagree? Do you work or are you a student? So what happens here is the first part of the sentence, we rise, we take up, would you like tea? And then the second little bit, we bring down or coffee.
Okay. So wait, let me try. Would you like tea or coffee?
Magic,
Yeah?
you got it.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
And now, lucky last, the final type of question intonation is lists. So this is the question you asked me at the start of the section. So let's try it again. Do you want water, juice, lemonade, or cordial?
All of them.
All of them. And just like the question Jay asked earlier, what was it? Do you prefer sounds,
Consonant clusters or fluency?
That's it. Beautiful intonation pattern. Again, you lift everything, and you can do this as long as you want. You can have 10 things in the list, that's fine. You lift, 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 but the last one you bring down. That's the rule.
Got it. So, Amber, do you prefer Paris, London, or Berlin?
Paris,
Paris.
definitely.
Fair enough.
Paris. Okay, so now we're going to test your memory of the rules that you just learned.
Fantastic.
You're going to see an activity with patterns on the left and questions on the right. Your task is to match these patterns with the correct question type. We'll give you, how long?
10 seconds.
10 seconds to do it. Think fast. And here are the answers. So we begin with the either or pattern for A. B is the repetition or clarification. C, WH question. D, yes or no question. And finally, E was our list question. Now, okay, know that's a lot of information,
Yes.
but there is still a bit more to go through.
Come on, let's do it.
Next, we're going to look at sentence intonation patterns. Okay, so, Jay, do you remember the WH question pattern?
Of course. Like, what's your name?
Beautiful. Well, here it is for reference.
Mm-hmm.
The good news is that simple sentences follow exactly the same pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a look at some examples. I'm from England. I have 2 kids. I've just sent you an email. My favourite film is Titanic.
Oh, wow. Hold on. So these are not questions, these are sentences.
Exactly.
Right? Affirmative sentences.
Correct. Short, simple, one clause sentences.
But they still have intonation. Like there's still a part of the
Right.
sentence that rises and then falls.
Exactly, that we lift just to give that bit of interest. A common mistake that a lot of students make is to make their intonation totally flat
Right.
when they're not asking a question. But that can be a problem because it can make you sound bored, and it can also make you harder to understand because our ears are listening for that little lift or rise.
And what is this little lift? Does it mean I make my sound a little bit louder? Is it what is it?
Definitely. So as you raise the pitch of your voice, you go higher, you go up, but you can also push that sound out a little bit more on the highest note. So it's just a smidge louder.
Okay, so I'm raising my pitch and maybe turning up the volume just a little bit.
Turn that notch up. I'm from England.
Nice.
Very subtle. You don't want to say I'm from England
Right.
or I'm from England, but you just want to emphasize it a touch more.
Got it.
All right, now, next question. Jay, do you remember the list pattern?
Yes. Do you like water, cheese, or cheesecake?
Oh, definitely cheesecake. Well, once again, here it is for your reference. Some more excellent news. It's the same pattern when we list things in sentences. So instead of do you prefer Paris, London, blah, 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 you could say, I went to Paris, London, Prague, and Berlin last year.
Mm-hmm. Berlin last year.
Exactly. This one's a bit longer.
Berlin last year.
We've added last year. Another example. You want to do the honors?
Yes. We've got white, wheat, sourdough, and rye toast.
Lovely. So remember, the trick is up, 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 up. And then the final part of your list, you pull it down gently. Okay, finally, last little bit.
Come on.
We're going to look at complex sentences.
Cool.
So this is really handy if you're doing a read aloud task and it's a paragraph, for example, and the
Great.
sentences may be complex with clauses in them.
Mm-hmm.
So if the sentence has 2 clauses, this is the pattern you follow. Have a listen. When you get home, give me a call. To speak to someone, press number 4. As of the 23rd of June, your plan will be active. I live at Unit 806 at 56 Smith Street. So on all of those little syllables that were blue, they were the highest part of my voice.
Right. Okay.
These are the rules for the 3-clause sentences. By the way, this is really handy for phone numbers too.
Ah.
Follows the same pattern. So for a 3-clause sentence, when you get home, if you have time, give me a call. For our phone number, my number is 0428 345 6, 2, 1. And then last one.
Ready?
Yep.
I was born on a Tuesday, 8th of May, 1991.
Lovely. Although the last one, try lifting up that 90 a bit higher.
1991.
Magic, you've got it. Now, this is to say that often as native speakers, we play around with these rules. We don't follow them super strictly.
Right.
Like just as Jay did then and kept the last bit flat, that's perfectly fine. And you'll hear a lot of native speakers do that too. These rules, however, if you're doing an exam, it's good to show that you know them and almost exaggerate them
I agree.
a little bit.
I agree.
But in everyday life,
Just a little bit of exaggeration.
Exactly. But outside of an exam, feel free to use them or not, as you choose. With sentences, with questions, always use them. But with sentences, you can be a bit more relaxed.
Yep. Okay, so did you learn something new there? Hopefully you learned how to use intonation really nicely, because intonation's fun, isn't it?
It's a lot of fun. It's almost like singing, pronunciation singing.
Yeah, it adds a lot of meaning to the things that you say, which is very helpful. But what we're going to talk about now is going to be really, really relevant for some people and still of interest to other people. And the thing is we're talking about is word stress.
Exactly right.
The reason why I say it's going to be particularly relevant for some people is because you simply will not have it in your first language.
Correct.
Right? But other languages will.
That's very true. And English is one of them. So let's find out.
Cool.
So let's talk about word stress. Well, first of all, what is word stress? Well, every word in English consists of one or more syllables. So, for example, medication has 4 syllables. Now, what is a syllable? Well, a syllable is like a beat. It's a part of a word. So, medication, medication. We can break it up into 4 beats. Here they are, separated. Medication. Now, this is a word with 4 syllables, and the rule is that in words with 2 or more syllables, 1 syllable in the word is stressed. So by stressed, we make it stronger or louder.
Or more emphasized.
Exactly. So with this word, medication, it's on the 3rd syllable, medication. Now, like Jay was saying before, it can be quite different in your first language, the stress patterns to English. So for example, if we take a look at Tamil, in Tamil the rule is that you stress the first syllable in a word, always. So we've got some Tamil words here, and we're going to listen to a recording of these words.
Adai, Adai, Vadai, Padai, Pandam, Varai, Param.
All right, so could you hear how the speaker was stressing the first syllable? Well, in English, we stress different syllables in different words. So here are some example stress patterns. Product, so the stress is on the first syllable. Construct, beautiful, amazing. So these are all different patterns that we use.
Okay, so wait, let me get this right. So we don't just say amazing, like equal stress on each syllable. We actually take one of the syllables, amazing, and we make the amazing much more emphasized, right?
Exactly right. Louder and stronger.
And it changes. It could be at the beginning, could be in the middle, or it could be at the end.
Very true. So we're going to look at some examples, actually, of different placements now.
Terrific.
So, just to have a slightly different topic, let's look at some healthcare vocab. So here we've got different columns. On the left, we've got 1-syllable words. So here, because it's just 1 syllable, the stress is even. It's pill, nurse, blood. But when there are 2 or more syllables, we follow different patterns. So let's look at column 2. We've got doctor, pressure, patient. Column 3, we're reversing the pattern now to the 2nd syllable. Acute, prescribe, disease. 4th column, 3 syllables. Allergy, hospital, ambulance. And then 5th column, the stress is in the middle. allergic, reaction, discomfort.
Okay, can I play a little game here?
Most definitely.
All right, so please have a look at number 4 here, the column number 4. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wrong emphasis on I'm going to put emphasis on the wrong syllable. So instead of allergy, which is correct, I could say allergy.
Oh, and I say, what word are you saying,
Exactly.
Jay?
It's almost as if I can't understand allergy. What does allergy
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Because I've just changed the word stress there slightly, right? Allergy, allergy, very different sound to my ears.
Exactly. I would argue that word stress is perhaps the single biggest barrier to being understood by others.
Yes.
If
yes.
you use the wrong stress, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's right. I was speaking to an Indian the other day, and he was saying something about something generic, right? But he didn't say generic with the j emphasis. He said generic, generic.
Ah,
And for a second, I just went,
but what is that?
What's generic?
Exactly, because our brain is so used to hearing the words with the correct stress patterns that anything different feels like, whoa, what's that?
Yeah, exactly.
So here we've got a quick activity for you to practice. Have a go at saying this sentence. We'll give you a model to listen to. I had an allergic reaction, so an ambulance took me to hospital. The doctors gave me a pill. Pause the video, have a go. So, Jay, you might be wondering, or students watching this video, how do we learn what stress pattern to use?
That is the $1 million question, really.
Well, I will happily take that $1 million because it's got a super easy answer.
Great.
You just use the dictionary. They are all in there. So here's a little screenshot from an online dictionary, and I've done it for the word construct. Now, you can see that there's a tiny little apostrophe here on screen. It comes in between the two syllables, construct. Now, the apostrophe always goes before the stressed syllable. So if you see an apostrophe before something, you need to stress the syllable after it.
Got it. Okay, wait. So this is construct, but and that's a verb. But what about a construct?
Indeed, and by changing the stress, you've just told me a noun, a construct. So again, sometimes the stress can even change the meaning of the word.
Whoa.
Pretty cool. Now, another little tip to know is that American and British varieties of English can have different stress patterns for the same word. This doesn't happen very often, but it's just handy to know about. So, for example, an American speaker would talk about going to the ballet. But me, as a British speaker, I talk about going to the ballet. My very dodgy American accent there. Do you want to see if you can do a better job?
Ballet.
Ballet.
Versus ballet.
Ballet, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So there are a couple of words that this happens with. Salon and salon, another example. Now, it's not just the stress that we put on individual words, it's also how we use it with the sentence. So you can see here we've got the word we saw earlier, amazing. But we can also apply this to a sentence. I saw you. We found them. With 4 syllables, we've got the word education, but we can have the sentence, Mary saw you. Jay is a teacher.
Wow. Okay.
So to figure out what to put where, if the word has 2 syllables, then we place it on the stressed syllable, 2 or more. So that's why it's teacher. But with the second sentence here, I saw you and Mary saw you, here we're actually stressing the key part of the sentence, the meaning, the most important meaning word in the sentence.
Yep, got it. All right, so word stress I think is absolutely fantastic.
Sure is.
But it must be extremely challenging for those people who have a first language that doesn't have word stress.
That's right. But you know, the good news is that all the rules are in the dictionary to learn, and by practice and learning the word stress patterns of words that you use often, it'll be fine.
Yep, awareness and practice is key. Plus E2 school.
Indeed. All right, so we're on to the very last part of our pronunciation lesson today, which is Ba-dum-tsh. Rhythm. So there are two types of languages in the world. We have stress-timed languages and syllable-timed languages.
Right.
Now, the easiest way to compare these two is to use a picture or an analogy. So stress-time languages, think of it like Morse code. You have long sections and shorter sections, like da, 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 da,
I'm guessing that English is going to be like that.
Most definitely. In contrast, you have other languages, syllable-time languages, which are much more even, like a sewing machine. Yeah. Or like a train, I guess. Ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. All the parts are evenly spaced in terms of speed.
Got it.
So, you're right, English is a stress-timed language. This means we say stressed syllables of words at regular intervals, like a beat.
Right.
We're going to practice this in a second.
Cool.
And we put all of the unstressed syllables, we make them shorter, we put them in between the beats.
Right.
This is one of my favorite activities to do.
All right.
Let's jump into it. I'll do the first one, you do the second one.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. We're going to have a beat like this. Dogs annoy cats. The dogs have annoyed the cats. The dogs will annoy the cats. The dogs have been annoying the cats. The dogs could have been annoying the cats. So you see what I did there? I kept the beats on dogs, annoy, and cats, and I fit in words like the, or could have been, or ing, or the in between the beats.
I love this. This is amazing. Wait. Have a look at these words that are stressed here. So dogs, noun, annoy, verb, cats, noun.
Yep, exactly. Or subject, verb, object. So we stress these parts.
Or meaning words.
Yes.
Nouns and verbs which have meaning, like dogs, annoy. These have pictures in your mind.
Right.
Whereas the, have, the, will, ing, have been. These are meaningless words. They're kind of like the glue that stick it together.
Exactly, the grammar glue.
Yes.
But not the content.
Grammar glue, I like that.
All right, you ready to try one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Give you a beat?
Yep.
Or do you want to do the beat yourself?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Cats drink milk. The cats have drunk the milk. The cats will be... What? The cats will drink the milk.
Yeah.
You
Just
do
the
the
three
thing.
beats. I'll clap for you.
Oh, yeah. Cats drink milk. The cats have drunk the milk. The cats will drink the milk. The cats have been drinking the milk. The cats could have been drinking the milk. Could have been.
Beautiful. Sounds so fluent too.
Could have been. Amazing. Emma, that was amazing. Really, really amazing. Okay, so I think what we've done in this video is we've got every single rule of English pronunciation, and we've probably put everybody to sleep at home.
Hopefully not, but truly that is every rule you need to know. Everything's in there. You've just seen everything.
Awesome. So as a student, if I were you, what I would do is download that PDF below, which will give you all of these rules. And what I would also do is go to www.e2school.com and I would check out our 2 speaking lab courses, which will take you through the sounds and the consonant clusters, so you're gonna become more confident when speaking English and more accurate, clearer. Yeah?
Agreed. There's one more thing that I recommend you do. That's hit the subscribe button as well. We'll be adding plenty more pronunciation videos to our channel in the future.
Emma, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jay.